In 1990, the first model solar car race was run in the forecourt of the exhibition building in Melbourne. Right from the start, staff and students entered into the spirit of the event. In 1994, a new section of the event was run, the Energy Victoria Model Solar Boat Challenge. This event is targeted at primary school children, the designing and building of these boats being well within the capabilities of the younger student. To add to the challenge, the young designers can only use construction materials that can be recycled. The event was a great success, there being 15 boats built by some 80 students from 12 primary schools. And this is only the start.
Sweelang, did you enjoy being in the event?
Oh, I loved it. Great experience.
How did the other students get involved in it, or how did it go for you?
We got a fair bit of support from our friends, and a couple of the teachers gave us a couple of ideas.
And a lot of work in building the boat?
Fair bit, especially on Stephen's part.
And you enjoyed it, Stephen?
Yep, sure did.
What sort of things did you put into it in your design?
We wanted to make it look like a real boat, and we also wanted to make it go fast.
Right, and you did both in one?
Yep, we made it look good, and we also had a big propeller and a big motor shaft. And there's lots. Here's the motor in here. I can actually lift up and look in if you want.
All states in Australia hold their own model solar car competition, and the first 4 placings are invited to the inaugural Australian Solar Car Challenge held at Science Works Museum in Melbourne. From the previous day's competition, the Victorian place getters were Lionel Hall, Jamison Park, Press Hill and Mount Waverley.
So, Lionel Hall missing out on winning there. Bad luck.
During this competition, racing car identity Peter Brock presented the prize for the best engineered car to Mackinnon Secondary College.
Okay, now with that, all I can say is this new track is a great innovation. It's far better test, I believe, than what last year's was. And as some person who knows all about tracks being a test of, I suppose, ingenuity and engineering and abilities generally, this track is fantastic. And my congratulations to the people who designed and built this track. It will set, I think, a standard of solar car model racing in time to come. Thank you.
We also have to be very careful not to be placing too much reliance on the competitive side of things. In other words, we must win. In the world I come from, there's a great belief that win, 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 win's what life is all about. I don't go along with that. I believe you give it your best shot, you utilise all those things you have at your fingertips, you get your support group around you, for instance your school friends or whatever it might be, and you all get that common goal, you get that common focus, and you put everything into it to try and build the correct machinery and get it going on the day. And one of the great delights I have when I see the competition in progress is to see all these kids just wheeling their car on, just going around and saying, come on, car, do it. I mean, they just love the whole issue of getting the car out there and seeing how well it'll go on that day. So enjoyment's one, participation's another, and when it comes to building a car that's going to win, I prefer to see one that's utilising the facilities at hand, simple design, straightforward design, a practical design, rather than something which is technically excellent but really is just getting there on, I suppose, untold amounts of money and effort and things like that. So, you know, that's my point of view, and I think that time tells eventually when a good design is around, that good design becomes timeless.
Before cars are allowed out onto the track, they must first pass scrutineering.
To weigh the panel and mannequin to make sure that the weight is the same for all of the vehicles. We check the vehicle size to make sure they're within the rules. We check for batteries, large capacitors and things like that. And then we do a total vehicle weight, so that today we can just quickly check the weight again to make sure there haven't been any substantial changes since the full scrutineering.
And what's the most innovative ideas you've seen on the cars as they go through, Dave?
I've seen one particularly interesting one which runs on its front wheels on the guide rail rather than on the track. It'll be interesting to see how that actually performs in practice. It's quite a complex suspension and steering system. There are quite a few running trailing arms and guide rollers to keep the car from slewing off the track. And a lot of really beautiful light chassis construction, really minimalist cars.
And what sort of materials are they using in this chassis construction?
The lightest ones are using carbon fibre tube. Some are still using balsa, which can also make a nice light car if the design's good. And some are using aluminium, which is extensively drilled for lightness. And
where are they getting this carbon fibre tube and aluminium tube from?
Well, I'm told that the cheap source is bow shops, so that it's actually carbon fibre tube from arrows.
You ready to rip? Let it go.
After scrutineering, the cars run under lights. The time is noted.
6.58.
And becomes the basis for seeding pairs for competition. Macquarie Boys Tech of New South Wales are in Lane 1 and Hutchins School Tasmania occupy Lane 2 in the first competition of the day. Macquarie Boys Tech win easily. Heathfield Primary, South Australia in Lane 1 and Erbrae Agricultural High, South Australia Lane 2 are off to a good start, but the sun's energy is filtered by clouds and the hill in the track proves to be just too much. Erbrae are deemed the winners.
The one that reaches the hill first will be adjudged the winner. We won't necessarily wait for the full 2 minutes, because obviously if a car gets to the hill and has to stop, it's not going to be able to generate enough power to get over the hill.
St Spiridon High, New South Wales is left at the start by Mabel Park High from Queensland. Huonville High, Tasmania takes the early lead over Cunderdin District High, Western Australia, but through the final bend the gap is closed and Cunderdin just snatches victory. Emmanuel College, South Australia is in Lane 1 and McKinnon from Victoria, replacing Melrose of ACT, is in Lane 2. McKinnon takes a commanding lead, but in the end, a reliable Emmanuel College wins.
This is a typical hare and tortoise race. The tortoise is going to win.
Leaning Senior High, Western Australia takes an early lead over Morphett Vale, South Australia. But with overcast conditions, they slow and stop.
You can put the guide peg back in, but don't push the car.
Leeming has just the right gearing to allow it to start again and continues to a win. Mount Waverley of Victoria beats Hutchins of Tasmania.
Bad luck in high school with Big Ziggy.
Switched on, ready to race. Okay. Go.
The Perth College entrant Priscilla in Lane 2 runs away from Jamison Park of Victoria. Priscilla is super fast and seems to keep on accelerating.
In this particular vehicle, we've cut the weight down by using hollow graphite tubes. We've got graphite engine plates. We have some very lightweight foam, hardened foam blocks for our mounting corners, a little balsa wood here, and aluminium, very light wheels. The bearings in this particular car are fairly special. They are quite precision and allow the car to run smoothly. The disadvantages of this car is that it is a four-wheel car, and by running four wheels you increase the friction on the bearings. If you ran three wheels you would have much less friction and probably a faster car. The problem with that is that you run into a stability problem if your car becomes very quick, and in bright sun they can become quite fast, and when they're cornering you're liable to lose a little traction. We found that the addition of steering assisted that traction problem, but it also lost out when it's going down the straight, so under lights this is not a particularly fast car. In Western Australia this car qualified 18th in the state finals and then won the finals, so it won it with a little bit of luck, I might add. There were some other quicker cars, and that's an interesting point. The quicker cars were a little faster than us, but in almost every case they left the track, and because of that they forfeited the race. So when you build a car, you have to consider carefully the fact that you've got to finish, and if you don't finish you're out of the race. We did get some very good times with a normal brushed motor, a Msvc, and under bright sun that will run very well. But they don't start unless they've got a lot of power running to them. These particular motors are brushless and they start under very low conditions, and that helps get your car underway. They're expensive, they're a German motor, but it is noticeable that virtually all winning cars are now running this particular motor. To select the right gear is a little hard, but you certainly need to have the ability to change the gears, and in this car we can slide our motor backwards and forwards, and that allows us to put a larger pinion or smaller pinion onto this spur, and that way we get a variation in gear. The gear that you require is purely going to be done by trial and error. You have to try the car under several conditions and time it and get a rough idea, write down and record the times you're doing. We recorded the time of day, the type of condition, i.e. cloudy, bright sun, overcast, and then we recorded the time that the car would do over a certain distance, and that way we have a rough idea, well, probably a little bit better than a rough idea, of the best gear to use on the car at any one moment.
Press Hill in the right-hand lane beats Lionel Hall, although Lionel Hall has the fastest time of the event. This is because Press Hill can easily adjust the gearing on their car to suit the available sunlight. Albany in the right-hand lane will in turn beat Press Hill. And Gleaming maintains its speed through the curve to just beat Cunderdin. In a very close contest, Leaning wins the first race. But Urbre wins this, the second of three, making it one race all. Leaning wins the third race and takes third place outright. In the final, both schools are from Western Australia. Priscilla is an all-girls team. Priscilla is in a class of its own, and in the first heat easily beat Albany. The second heat commences, and again Priscilla is untroubled, thus beating Albany 2-0, taking first place in the Australian Model Solar Car Challenge 1994.